Faridah, please go ahead.
Thanks so much. Salam semua. It's such a privilege to be invited by Mendaki and IPS to be part of this policy dialogue. I hope that you guys can see my slides. Before I actually go into the topic of my presentation today, I wanted to share a bit of my own personal career journey and sort of draw lessons for our Malay-Muslim youth who are in attendance to date. So a bit about myself. I grew up listening, in the 90s to the likes of your DJs in 987 FM, and I was so bent on going to poly and studying to become a DJ. And then I realized that actually DJs, majority of their time, actually spend doing other things like hosting and being on TV as opposed to actually playing music. So I tossed that dream aside, and then I did an internship with SPH, and I thought for sure that, okay, I'm going to be a journalist, and then I asked around the reporters there, okay, what should I study? And they said, okay, you just go to university and then you study things like political science or international relations, and then you can come back. And then I did that, and within my first semester, it was 2008, and I think most of you may remember it was a financial crisis. It was a global financial crisis, and then suddenly I got very worried, as I'm sure some of you are now. What if my parents were to lose their jobs? What would happen to my university education? So I made a very practical decision, and I went for the first scholarship that I saw, which was then with an agency called International Enterprise Singapore. And I mean, a lot of people said, "Oh, congratulations, you're a public scholar," and I didn't know what that meant. All I knew was that, okay, someone else is going to foot the bill for my studies, and I've got a job, right? Because at that time, similar to now, we actually don't know when the economic downturn is going to last. So that was me. I went from a DJ to the accidental public servant. And as a public servant, I got the opportunity to live in one of the most dangerous cities on earth. It's actually Johannesburg, South Africa. I was posted there in 2015. So the irony of this picture is that actually the lions were the last that you had to worry about when you're in South Africa. And it turned out to be a very enriching, very humbling experience, both professionally and personally. And one of the biggest takeaways that I took is simply never take for granted one of the greatest freedoms that you enjoy here in Singapore, which is never having to think twice about walking down the street at any time of the day for fear that someone might rob you or someone might smash and grab your car while you're waiting at a traffic light. Today, I'm very proud of to be a team lead for a bunch of 20-somethings, and we're all very passionate about food security and food resilience. So I lead the agri-tech team here in Enterprise Singapore, and every day we talk about fish, vegetables, or eggs, which is how to grow more, how to make them nutritious, and how to sell them in supermarkets at affordable prices. Oh, and I happen to be president of MENDAKI Club, which is a tribe by itself. We're about 200 plus volunteers, and all of us share this fundamental belief in supporting our Malay-Muslim youths like you guys to actually achieve your career aspirations, but also to give back to the community. So this is my favorite job, which actually isn't a job because I don't get paid for it, and that's fine. So at every juncture that you are at, for some of you, you're just, graduating, or some of you are in your mid-career, but ask yourself, why do you do what you do? So why do I do what I do? I went from being the accidental public servant to the committed public servant because the public sector creed, which are the values that you see on your screen, integrity, service, excellence, happens to be the values that resonate with me. My passion, I didn't go out there finding my passion found me, and it took a while, but that's where I'm at, and maybe some of you are in the same boat. Another important thing is, I think, in the video that you saw, there's something really incredible about the Malay-Muslim community, which is this idea about volunteering. And I think we're all just trying to do our best and do our part to live up to this ideal of a community of success, right? And there are many multiple pathways to success. So the point is this, which is each of you, Malay-Muslim youth, whatever your background is, you hold within you the key to actually uplifting the entire community. If you first empower yourself, and by doing that is by believing in your ability to influence positive change and to put thought into action. So that's the start thing. I think we'll go into the presentation proper, which is really what I want to talk about is COVID-19 and what it has done to the jobs and economic sector in Singapore. So the not so good news is that you are among maybe about 48,000 or so fresh job seekers who are leaving school and are beginning, your career. So this is the grim reality that you are entering into. So as MENDAKI Club, what we did was that we actually brought together a dynamic group of panelists from both public and private sector to answer three very fundamental questions, which is what you guys will want to know, which is where are the jobs, who's hiring, what skills will get me hired and stay hired, and then the third is actually what resources are available to me. So some of you may have caught our conversation, but lucky you, IPS had invited me to come and sort of share some of the key takeaways, which is really what I'll do. So the first and most important thing is when you're asking yourself, where are the jobs? Well, when was the last time you picked up the newspaper or watched CNA or listened into the radio? So there's a lot of news, in terms of the opportunities that are out there. So do pay attention, right? Where are these 33,000 job vacancies? They're actually across 10 different industries, from banking to finance to government to education. So again, in sustainability, for example, an area that I'm at, there are now new jobs that are up and coming in things like QC, in agro-technopreneurship, in aquaculture, etc. So I think you just have to keep your eyes peeled and actually watch the news and see, where some of these opportunities are at. Use LinkedIn, and I don't just mean have a LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn is beyond just a job platform. They've actually got a lot of data. So do log on and see what are some of the labor market trends for you to actually find out who are some of the top employers that are hiring. So Shopee being one, I'm sure you've heard that they're hiring more than 500 graduates and mid-career more recently. What kind of jobs are top trending? Of course, no surprise there. Most of them are in the digital space. And then, of course, I wanted to introduce Wantedly, if you have not heard of them. Since COVID, they started this really incredible platform on their website, which is a 24/7 live update of the kind of jobs that are actually available for you to have a look at. So the point is this, where are the jobs? Well, what does the data tell you? And then more importantly is that when you are job hunting, adopt flexibility in your job hunt, be prepared to perhaps take a lower salary or explore alternative employment arrangements. And of course, you need to adapt to labor market changes. If work from home is going to be the new norm, then you simply have to understand yourself and how you can succeed in the workplace based on that. So the second is, on skills. And I think Dr. Maliki mentioned about things like Skills Future and the like. But I mean, maybe if you're sitting there wondering, well, okay, I mean, what should I be upskilling myself or reskilling myself in? I think it has to be a mixture of both your soft skills as well as your hard skills. And you can see here, COVID or no COVID, the soft skills pretty much remain the same, right? It's creativity, it's problem solving, it's emotional intelligence, etc. But do pay attention to the hard skills as well. I wanted to touch on also, I think, for some of you that may have or are currently in certain sectors that are considered at risk or sunset sectors like retail or otherwise, I think that it's important for you to also see what would be some of the common skills that you can transfer over. So retail being one, I think some of you who are in accommodation or tourism and in food services as well. So there are definitely skills that you can transfer to other emerging sectors. I think the technical and digital skills, in the past, it was a premium, but today it's actually a prerequisite. So perhaps digital skills, something for you guys to think about as youths, is this idea that it's actually going to be something that is the norm as opposed to just simply being something that's in addition to that. Soft skills, like I mentioned. To summarize this part, I think sharpen transferable skills, especially soft skills, acquire trending hard skills like digital skills, like I mentioned, and more importantly, get out there and network if you can. So my last point is actually what sort of resources are available to me, national level, community level. I wanted to just take some time, and I think for some of you that are interested in maybe pursuing a career in public sector leadership, just a big shout out. MENDAKI Club is doing our Rework Career Conversation on public sector leadership. Scan the QR code in front of you to find out more. We'd be happy to hear from you. Also, a couple of other platforms for you to take a look at. I think Talented being one. You actually can see what kind of skill sets that, let me just go back quickly, what are kind of skill sets and personality traits would be things that you could actually have and then actually put in your CV. A couple more other online resources. Do check them out when you can. And so my last point is this, which is that you are the driver of your career, right? What you can do is actually adopt a resilient mindset. You simply have to adapt to this post-pandemic world. And last but not least, just acquire new skills, both a combination of soft as well as hard skills. So that's it from me. Any questions, we can take it during the panel.